Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Cimnanya on Sim. And thank you all so much for the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. So I love the fact how everybody's looking for a way to move the attention or divert the attention. This woman said that, before the election, some people came with iPad to knock on the door and say, "Do you want to vote?" and all that. I don't know, but I have been on social media and I have not heard anything like that. But if I see or hear something like that, I definitely will bring it so we get to know. But I think it's just people trying to divert the attention, so there won't be so much tension and anger, going around and all that. So this video, talks about how women really did a great job by voting against their own interest. But man, this is really what they've been doing all years. It's not like they haven't been doing it. I think the only time everybody came out to actually vote was uh, Joe Biden's time, right? But aside from that, this is just like the way they operate. They don't hide it. But this time around, they actually hid it. But I was able to find out, and I know majority of white black people also found out because I keep asking all these people saying, "I am going to support you. I am going to support you, and we are going to do what women can do for themselves." And in the end, the women are nowhere to be found. Let's get into the
I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but I live in Philly, and last week these two young girls knocked on my door and held up what looked like an iPad and said, "Do you want to vote today?" And I said, "No, I'll be voting at the polls." But I'm realizing, was that a tactic to divert people from actually casting their vote at the polls because they would think that if they voted on that iPad, it would count? Did this happen to anybody else? It kind of seemed fishy to me, and I didn't think about it until today.
So, if you're like me, you probably have oodles and oodles of feelings about the outcome of this presidential election and the fact that we are all now staring down the shotgun barrel that is Project 2025. What is abundantly clear to me right now is that Imani Barbarin was right and that Democrats never really wanted to win this election in the first place. Imani Barbarin, if you don't know, she is a Black disabled activist who's very active on social media. I follow her here on TikTok and also on Twitter. And she called it, I think, sometime between 2021 and 2023, that Democrats aren't actually interested in winning the 2024 presidential election. And I personally believe that she's right. I remember earlier this year and even last year, the public started to ask Democrats, the 2024 election is coming up. Why haven't you started campaigning? The Biden administration didn't really roll out any policy updates that they wanted to implement. They weren't really focusing or talking about the re-election as much. And when the public started to call them out for it is when they shifted their messaging. And the messaging was just the same old, we have to beat Trump, we gotta beat Trump, we gotta beat Trump. And I'll get to why they stick to that messaging a little bit later. Look at how Democrats fumbled Roe versus Wade. We will all remember, and history will remember, that Roe versus Wade was overturned under a Democratic administration, and the Democratic president didn't even so much as draft an executive order, much less sign one, to try to combat the effects of it. When the Supreme Court announced that there is now such a thing as presidential immunity, did President Biden step in and say, "Oh, well, since I have immunity for whatever I do, how about I forgive student loans for everybody? Everybody gets an abortion, everybody gets a house, everybody gets food assistance, everybody gets health care." What did he instead say? "I will follow the rule of law and I will honor what the court says by not taking advantage of it." In an election year, when people were calling for the Biden administration to add justices and pack the Supreme Court, because we all realize that there's actually no specific constitutional amendment that says there can only be 9 Supreme Court justices, Biden explicitly said that he had no interest in doing that whatsoever. Then Biden was on record saying that he never really believed in women's autonomy, and I never really bought into this whole my body, my choice thing. Like, after he said that, it was so bad Obama had to, make a statement, or was overheard making a statement saying, "Leave it to Biden to fuck things up." Like, are you so serious? So when you look at those actions individually, you realize the Democratic Party never really had a strategy of any kind in place to win the 2024 presidential election. In fact, I think the Democrats, especially the establishment consultant class, those liberal coastal elites, they were actually probably pissed that we won the 2020 election the way that we did. And they were pissed that when we won the 2020 election, we were close to having like a supermajority in Congress and at the executive level as well. They were probably upset about that. Then when we had the majority in Congress and we had a Democratic executive branch as well, then came all the excuses about how we couldn't get anything done. Oh, well, it's Kristen Sinema, it's Joe Manchin, they're blocking all our efforts, and we got to beat Trump, we got to beat Trump. I realize that Democrats are going to keep Trump alive as long as they possibly can. They're going to pump him with whatever synthetic products they have to keep him alive, because as long as Trump is alive, Trump and MAGA are Democrats' perfect scapegoat for why they won't get any fucking thing done. It's because of Trump. We got to get Trump out of here. We got to beat Trump. It's the MAGAs who are stopping us from doing anything. Shut the fuck up. Please stop playing in my fucking face right now. And the public, voters, and the entire country are seeing right through that act. As Imani Barbarin also pointed out, Democrats make a lot of money off of beating Trump. The fundraising that they, like the ceilings and the fundraising goals that they have, they blast through them every time on the message of we have to beat Trump and we have to get Trump out of here. So in the past 4 years, when Trump was not in office, he was not president and he was not running for re-election, why didn't we do exactly that? Merrick Garland, you Neville Chamberlain, lily-livered, pussyfoot-ass motherfucker, the history will spit on you and piss on you and will not remember you fondly. I hope those checks that you received from the establishment Democratic class can move you somewhere far and away from the United States of America and all of its territories and overseas military bases. Because me personally, I will come looking for you and I'll kick you straight in your fucking nuts. Anyway, yeah, Democrats never actually took substantial effort to get Trump out of here. They went through all of this political theater, and media frenzy about how he's been indicted and he has a mugshot. He should have been in handcuffs in Siberia. He should have been barred from ever running for re-election ever again, or running for political office ever again anywhere near the United States of America. Instead, you know what that stupid ass Supreme Court said unanimously? The Supreme Court unanimously agreed that Trump should be allowed to run for office again. The Supreme Court, that includes Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson and Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan, they all unanimously agreed on that, you guys. And as soon as Trump won, a few days ago, here comes Merrick Garland in the Department of Justice announcing that they're not going to move forward with any of the criminal charges or indictments against him. Are you so fucking serious? So it was all for naught. It was all just for political theater. It was all just a fundraising and media grab to raise ratings, to raise money and stuff like that, and to drive people to go to the polls so that it would look like they're doing something, but they never intended on actually following through on that something. And another thing, I think Biden also knew this going into this as well. After the debate in June 2024 between him and Trump, when the entire country, all Democrats turned on him like so fucking quickly, he took one look around at the landscape and he said, this will not be my legacy. I will not be remembered as the president who soundly defeated Trump in one election and then was soundly defeated by him in the very next election. That should be somebody else's fucking problem, not mine. Don't be fooled for one fucking second that he stepped down because he's such a great moral man who was thinking of the good of the country and the good of the party. Bullshit. He did not want this blood on his hands. He did not want this mess to land at his feet for him to be responsible for fixing it or hold responsibility for having to correct it, okay? That's why he stepped down, and it took him a few hours to endorse Kamala as his successor. Like, we can see you. We were right there. We remember when this happened. Establishment Democrats were not interested in actually winning this election. They chose Tim Walz because we bullied them, and as soon as they put Tim Walz on the presumptive Democratic ticket, they muzzled him. They told him to dial back all his fiery rhetoric, which was working, told him to dial back all his discussion and talking points about all the progressive things he enacted and helped to enact in the state of Minnesota, told him to just stop doing all that, cut out the fact that he likes to wear camo and he likes to hunt and he's a gun lover, things that would have actually maybe swayed some undecided, on the fence swing voters. They told him to dial all that back because when they go low, we go high. Please understand that Democrats know that when they go low, we go high civility bullshit. They know it doesn't work. They know that we don't like when they do that. They know that we hate that, and they know it doesn't work. They don't care. That's the point, that it doesn't work. They know that their intellectual ivory towered arguments against a die-hard Trump supporter do not work. They know these things, guys. They chose to left us to die and fend for ourselves. So again, all credit to Imani Barbarin for this. She was right. Listen to Black women. Black women are always right. And also, I apologize to Black men too, because according to the exit polls from the Associated Press and NBC, it was Black men and Black women who were the largest cohort of individuals who voted for Harris in the largest percentages, the largest numbers. Consistently Black men and Black women. As for you Latinos, and as for you Middle Eastern folks, you Middle Eastern folks who thought that you were doing something and you really showed Harris that her failure to protect Palestinians and Gazans is just, something special. You really did that. Are you watching television now? Are you watching Trump saying that he's going to finish what Netanyahu started and nuke the entire country of Palestine off the fucking map and turn it to glass? Are you watching that? Are you watching Trump saying his first order of business is going to be rounding up Hamas supporters? Do you know you have 30 minutes? Do you know that includes you? You're not special. You're not one of the good ones. They will be rounding up your ass after they've nuked Palestinians into oblivion, Palestinians who begged us to elect Harris. They'll be rounding your ass up, and this time you won't have Black or white people protesting to protect you. And as for you Latinos, same speed. You voted for the man who is going to turn around and round you up, denaturalize you, and deport you in droves. Like, the lights are on, but no one's home. I can tell. In conclusion, so many things went wrong that were absolutely preventable. Democrats are going to have a very hard time securing votes from their base in the foreseeable future, myself included. And now more than ever, the rest of us who are still sane, who have brains and logic and reasoning, we're going to have to rely on one another now more than ever. That individualism, every man or every woman for herself bullshit has to go out of the window. It's literally us against the world.
I think the biggest misconception about white women is that they are allies to women by default. They're not allies to women by default. A lot of white women's allyship is not to women. It's to whiteness and it's to power, which connects them very directly to the white men in power. And they have a unique relationship with allyship because they can pick and choose according to their interests and what privileges they want to keep versus lose. And you need to understand that for a lot of white women, voting for Kamala Harris would have included loss of privilege, because just like a lot of white men, they have unearned guardrails in their life and privilege in their life. For a lot of white women, voting for Kamala would have meant giving up some of those things and having to be an actual ally to women. They would have had to examine things about themselves that are not pretty to look at. They would have had to look at somebody in power that doesn't really look like them. Because again, a lot of them are allies more so to whiteness and American culture and power in general. For them, that provides a lot of benefits. White women have the option of removing themselves from the women category, right? They can vote according to all sorts of different interests. A lot of times they mistakenly believe that a man has got their back. If they just vote the same way as him, if they sort of approximate, right, themselves in allyship to the same things that men are allied and in proximity to, they think they will get all the same benefits and protections, which is never, ever, 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 ever true. But they think so anyway. They vote against their own interests and the interests of other women. They think that when it comes to them, they're going to be an exception. And that's only true for the rich people. As a regular woman, that's only true for you while you are young and pretty and you don't have 5 children hanging off of you so much that you're neglecting your husband and you're neglecting your wifely duties, at which point he will divorce you. That's when white women turn into women, right? That's when their allyship, does a 180. And now the men are the enemy and it's women need to support women and who's going to watch my kids and who's going to do this. Yeah, so white women really think they can take themselves out of the women category. And to be fair, they can. It's just that when life kicks them back into that category, they always regret it. They always go back on their word. A lot of these white women that have voted, they're either married still and they're aligning themselves with men instead of women. You know, when other women criticize them for that, it's like, well, aren't I a woman too? And it's like, no, not exactly. White women have always benefited from aligning themselves with men, especially in America, because there have always been minorities in America to absorb the burden that white women would have otherwise had to carry for men. And what I'm specifically referring to is something that I said in a TikTok or two before Black women rightfully called me out. But I used to say this thing, women couldn't work, like men took away our right to work. And Black women were like, we worked the whole time. We always have worked. That's very, very true. Just so you know, that's what white women are trying to avoid. They're trying to avoid that path, because that is the path of most resistance and most oppression. White women are so close, right, to the tippy top. So they're constantly watching the white men just skating on by in life on that path of least resistance. And they're running and running and running to try to keep up with the men and be, let me jump on, let me jump on. And the white men are like, yeah, later, next time. Keep voting for us and we'll definitely, just as long as you keep voting for Republicans. The dream for a lot of white people is just to benefit off of the labor of others. That's why white women don't care. That's why they vote for whatever benefits them. They don't vote with other women. They vote for themselves. They vote to approximate themselves to the source of power, which is a white man, and historically has been a white man. And the way things are going, it's going to be a white man for another 4 years now. Because again, white women get to pick and choose what their allyship is to. They get to choose whom they align themselves with. That's why they always play the woman card. But just so you know, to them, it's not about being a woman, and it's not about supporting women. It's about supporting the status quo so that they don't lose any of the privileges that they currently like having. They don't want to align themselves with all women because that would mean they drop down. Do you see what I'm saying?
So this is all I got from
helps.
this video, and all I can say is that everybody really have to brace up. You all really have to you all, like, I F around and find out, and it is also the season, because a lot of people find out what they did to themselves and how they voted. It is absolutely still going to affect them, right? And excuse me. All I can say is that I am rooting for Black people, and you all have yourselves. When I say you all have yourselves, I mean, you all are the only thing you all have, right? Black man, Black woman, and you all make this happen. This is also an opportunity for us, Black people, to unite and also grow more, because I feel like this is like a great opportunity for unity to reign, for peace to reign, for opportunities to come, for people to grow, right? So that is all I am asking for, right? You all already know that the deed has been done. I mean, Latinos voted who they wanted. White women voted who they wanted. Black men voted who they wanted, and the rest of them. And the fact that I didn't really know, but so who were all those people all this while in the comment section and everywhere on TikTok saying that we are rooting for you, we are supporting you? Who are they? Because I really don't get it. Looks like we are looking for the people that said we are not going to vote against our own interest this year. But then the same thing has happened. And I knew it was going to happen. And all of a sudden, you all want to wear blue bracelet to let people know that you are safe by these people's side, or you are not the bad one. You know what? I think instead of going out or coming to work, you guys really need to do a lot of reading. Instead of buying bracelet, go read, right? Go educate yourselves, because you already do need to educate yourselves. I mean, among yourselves, right? Because this time around, it's a no-no, and they really, man, it's all right. All the best. See you on my next video. Bye for now.